Chapter 8 Mr. Green. The 14th of February 2019. I had a lot to ponder on my way back down to Lancashire. This is not like any other case I'd taken on in the past, and, even after spending hours in the company of a man who has all but been Mr. Earnshaw for the last 70 years, I still don't know much about the real man, last spotted sailing to America with twin girls in search of their parents in 1948. I know he was going under a new name, Daniel Frankenberg, and I know a little more about his childhood and upbringing, not to mention his battle against TB. I even have a picture of him as a strapping teenager. But what now? I must admit, it has all been quite an emotional few days. A bit of self-reflection is needed too, Mr. Diary. Listening to the real Mr. Frankenberg talk has really hit home with me. Do I do enough for other people? Do I do enough to help? What is the purpose of my life? Ever since I started this case, I've found myself analysing everything I do and say. He didn't say anything to shame me. He doesn't even know me. But listening to that man speak, it touched me like I'd never been touched before. I felt ashamed of myself in a way, embarrassed, inspired even. I want my life to mean something too. I hadn't achieved anything so far. When all this is wrapped up, I'm going to start afresh and be a better man. I'll give more to charity, or do, well, some volunteer work. I might even adopt a gorilla. I might even adopt a child. Well, no, let's not get carried away. I have neglected my mum for long enough, though. I'll nip over there tomorrow for a catch-up and an ear bashing for something she imagined I've done wrong. I promise I'll listen too. Little steps. I will become a better person. In the morning I shall write to Mr. Green with all that I have and see if that's enough for him. With a quick calculation, his tab is already over £1,500, and with the hotel and expenses, and I really don't have a lot to give him other than a transcript of the interviews and a general overview of dates, times and places. I'm afraid the rest of Ernie's history sailed with him across the Atlantic. The 15th of February 2019. My first day as a new man has hit the rails already. A reply text from my mum to say she's going to the bingo tonight sort of burst my bubble. I half expected her to jump at the chance to spend some time with her dear son after not seeing me for a good while. Perhaps I was expecting too much too soon. Anyway, it's not like I don't have anything to do, starting with a letter to Mr. Green. I will draft a letter and replicate it here as always. I'll enclose it with a copy of the interview with Mr. Frankenberg, a scan of the photograph and a summary of work done, with costs incurred, of course. Note to self: if I do not hear back from him by the end of the week, I will chase it up. The other ancestry work will keep me ticking over though. Spring and summer, and for this payment for Mr. Green's case will be a very welcome bonus when it arrives. Despite the intense self-reflection, I have really enjoyed this case. Something a little different and, well, less sleazy than the usual collection of affairs, theft and abuse cases I've normally lumbered with. Right, letter to Mr. Green, 15th of February. Dear Mr. Green, first, may I thank you for your continued faith in me and my investigations. I must admit, finding Mr. Grimshaw was not easy. In fact, I'm not sure I still have, but the details of my finding will become apparent when you read the documents enclosed. This has not been a normal search and retrieve case. The birth certificate alone proved to be a challenge. Home births, especially those in a rural setting, are never straightforward, and records kept are both erratic and scarce in the main. Mr. Grimshaw proved to be no different, hence my need to travel to Cumbria. Age also proved to be a problem. In 90 years, a lot can and does change. Unfortunately, there was no one left in the area who knew the real Mr. Grimshaw, and by real, I mean just that. Again, the enclosed documents will give more explanation. Mr. Grimshaw is, or was, quite an extraordinary man from what I can gather. Unfortunately, as you will read, circumstances have conspired against us, and the search has reached a premature conclusion. I hope you are satisfied with the work done. If you require any further information, please do not hesitate to ask. I have enclosed all receipts for expenses and a detailed invoice. As the bill is quite large, if you wish to spread the cost over a 6 monthly period, please let me know and I'll arrange for a standing order to be taken. It has been a pleasure working for you, and I hope you are satisfied with the outcome. Yours sincerely, Paul Brunskill, Private Investigator. Enclosed, Doc 1 Invoice, Doc 2 Summary of Investigation, Doc 3 Copy of Interview. The 18th of February 2019. 2 new offers of work popped into the inbox this morning, both of which I think I will decline. I have reproduced the messages below with profanities crossed out. I would imagine both would be fairly easy to solve, but the gut feeling again tells me that they would be more hassle than they are worth. Number 1. I need a detective to find out what my cheating bastard of a husband is up to and who with. I suspected ages ago that he was up to no good. He has cheated on me with various slags, I presume, where he works, and I think he is at it again. I will need someone to catch him in the act so I can cut his balls off. His name is Tony McNulty. He works for the council, or so he says. He's never bloody there. He's 46 years old. Can I pay over 12-month instalments? Kerry McNulty. And number 2. Dear Sir, I have never had reason to seek to employ the services of a private investigator until now. I am very concerned about my partner's behaviour, and I would like to know what he's doing in his spare time. We are engaged to be married, a commitment and a promise to God that we both take very seriously. Christianity is central to everything we do, but I suspect my intended is struggling to stay on the right path, and at this moment in time, if my suspicions are correct, with the help of Jesus Christ, I want to help him. Although close, we are not sexually compatible, and even though this is incredibly frustrating on my part, I do not wish to lose him. I know he struggles to control his demons, gambling being one, sexual gratification in lap dancing clubs the other. I know he has frequented these adult clubs and strip joints. This makes me feel inadequate, and whilst this is preferable to him having an affair, it is incredibly hurtful. The gambling addiction is also a curse. He is very protective of his finances and refused to consider a joint account for our bills. When we met, he was a wealthy individual and very careful with his money. I can only imagine the damage this has had on his bank account. Through prayer, the good Lord encouraged me to find you. Can you help Mr. Brunskill? Are you able to find out the extent of the damage done and help recover his soul? I must do what I can to save him if it's not too late. God bless you. Leslie Andrews. Well, it's funny. A month ago I would willingly accepted both of these cases. I reckon both would take me no more than a couple of days to solve and would be worth at least £600. But now they're just not worth the hassle. I will politely decline. Responses noted below. Number 1. Dear Kerry, thank you for your email. On this occasion, I'm afraid I will not be able to provide the service. I am currently inundated with requests for work. I wish you luck during this difficult and worrying time. There are many other reputable private investigators out there. I'm sure you'll have no difficulty finding a suitable candidate to take on your case. Thank you for your interest, Mr. Paul Brunskill. And number 2. Dear Leslie, it is with regret that I have to decline your offer of work. I am presently overwhelmed with cases and simply not in a position to take on any new jobs at this time. I can empathise with your predicament. Addiction of any kind can be both dangerous and destructive. Your partner is lucky to have such huge support. I can see how important your faith is too. I suggest you approach him with your concerns, and if he is willing, seek counselling. On this occasion, I can't help. I am sure, though, that God can. Paul Brunskill. I hope I didn't sound too flippant at the end there. I am always a little uneasy around religion. I seem fairly hollow when it comes to spiritual intervention, and I suppose that makes me a little too sceptical of others of deep faith. Something else I need to learn, I suppose. I think I'll have the rest of the day off. Housework, shopping, ironing, the ancestry and a dip into the past can wait until tomorrow. 19th of the 2nd, 19. Nothing to report on the ancestry front. Easy money, but boring as hell. Maybe I shouldn't have turned down those two, after all.